Okie dokie. What is happening, people? How we living? How we feeling? Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. For you guys, it is Thursday night. For me, it is Friday morning. I can tell y'all the future's looking good. The weekend is close. So if you're having a tough week, don't worry. The weekend is coming up very, very soon. Let me know who I'm hanging out with here in the chat. Excited to review some people's Dynasty teams tonight and hopefully give some good advice and some good direction moving forward on some moves that people might be able to make. What is up, Casey, my bad, who is ColdCase. We're going to be looking at his team tonight. What's up, WG? Welcome in, my guys. Welcome in. Do me a massive favor and go ahead and hit that like button for us as the stream joins. Very easy way for you to help this channel grow. Nelson says, hey guys, hope everyone's having a great day today. Same to you, Nelson. Welcome in. Welcome in. Now, whole point of today's stream is to look at your Dynasty teams. So I went live an hour earlier than I typically do. And I guess that was just to, we have quite a few teams, people who are supporting us and are waiting for a review. So I guess the goal is to try and get through a little bit more teams than I have in the last couple days. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. But yeah, I would just say anyone out there who is looking for some sleepers, released a video about 3 hours ago, and I'm very excited about the video personally. I mean, if you're the type of person who loves, you know, these kind of players that come out of nowhere, your Puka Nakuas, your Tank Dells, I talk about 5 players in that video that I just released that I think could be real impact sleepers. I'm excited for the feedback on that video as I look through the comments later today. But the first team that we are going to be reviewing today is from Lonely Shew. Shewy says, if it's possible, can you skip Lonely Shew? He's not answering his phone call for his team. All right, well, we'll go to Lonely Shew next then. The first team, hey, ColdCase is in here, right? Yes, we got Casey in here. So let's do Casey's team here. This is ColdCase, and I need to find a sleeper ID. Here it is. So let's go ahead and pull up his team. But big shout out to ColdCase, man. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support over on the Flock Fantasy website. We appreciate you big time. Anyone who is watching this either live or later, if you guys want your teams to be reviewed on the stream, it's very simple. All you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member on the Flock Fantasy website using the promo code LAND. Only the code LAND will get you a Dynasty team review. It will also unlock our 2024 rookie report, which is consistently updating each and every month. Version 3 will release after the NFL Combine. I'm super excited to get Combine information in there. You also unlock our rankings, SuperFlex 1 quarterback prospect rankings, and as well as unlimited access to the trade calculator and unlocking all of our premium Discord channels over here. So everyone whose team I'm looking at today, they have signed up with the code LAND to be a Mother Flocker member, and they have done that themselves. NKI says, are those rankings expert or community? Great thing about our rankings is whose rankings do you want to reference, right? Do you want to reference mine? Do you want to reference Mason's or any of the other guys from the team? If you want to do that, you can sort by clicking on my name and adding me in the filter. If you want to sort by expert consensus, so all the experts on the page. If you want to sort by the community, where we get thousands of data points every week from you guys on what you feel about this. So, hey, however you want to look at it, you've got all these different options. I mean, we go as far as, you know, some people have a very specific strategy in Dynasty. So if you're one of those people who are building a super young team, you only want to look at my rankings under the age of 25. Well, it looks like my #1 ranked player will be CJ Stroud, then Jefferson. This is a SuperFlex league. There are so many filters. How about only players over the age of 25 Let's see what those rankings would look like. Josh Allen. Man, Crazy Burrow's over 25 already. He's 27? That kind of shocks you a little bit, doesn't it? Y'all know I'm a Kyler Murray guy. Anyway, so yeah, those rankings are just so in depth. It's awesome. I'm so proud of what we get to offer. But ColdCase, what is up, my man? We are looking at ColdCase's roster here first, and he is in the chat, which is great to see. All right, so let's have a little read here. It says, "What up, squad? New Mother Flocker member. Would love some insight on the team. Doing a little rebuild. Always saw myself as a contender, but the last 2 years finished in the bottom 4 due to injuries. That can happen." He says, "We'll include the trades I locked down as well so far in the offseason. 10-team league, SuperFlex PPR, start 9. Okay, I want to look at these trades, but not yet. I want to look at the team first. Okay. I just want to look at the team before I look at the rest of that context, because I'd be curious to see where it is now and then how you got there. The team name. Well, we don't have a team name, but I know he has Bryce Young and Geno Smith, so let's look for that team. Oh, so you're technically team 1, unless you've made some trades and those guys are no longer on your team. But let's look at the team. Just quick little overview here, and then I'll read the context that you had there. Again, keeping in mind 10 teams, SuperFlex, start 9. We've got Watson, Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, Jacobs, Javonte, Mixon, Chase Brown. Did you guys hear that rumor about Joe Mixon today? It's all a rumor, but there are talks about the Bengals moving on from Joe Mixon. I don't really know how much to trust this account. Do you guys know this account? I very rarely put much stock into accounts like this, and it's no disrespect to this person. Maybe they're right. It's just really difficult to trust accounts like this. Accounts that are kind of built off like engagement. But a lot of important people follow this account. Anyway, it is a rumor, so just throwing that out there, something to think about. He restructured his contract last year. He's so cheap now. I don't know. Anyway, at wide receiver, we've got Jefferson, Dell, Jason, Dobbs, Shaheed, Burks, Palmer, Tillman, Osborne. At tight end, we have Kmet, Waller. I don't think this is a tight end premium. Otherwise, I believe ColdCase would have told us. Confirm with me in the chat if you're here with me. All right, so I got a gist of the team. You got a lot of draft picks, which is awesome. Let's see the trades that he's made to get there. He moved Josh Allen for the 102, 104, and the 107. So 3 first-round picks. 2 of them confirmed being in the top 3. Let's talk about that trade first. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say like it's not good value, because I am obsessed with the top 5 of this draft. The only thing I would say is in a 10, like I would be more happy in a 12-man with that kind of deal. But I feel like in a 10-man, those superstars like Josh, I just feel like, man, I would almost expect 4 first-round picks for a guy like Josh. I'm not saying you got bad value or anything like that. You know, don't hear what I'm not saying, but maybe you don't even want feedback on these trades. But anyway, he says, moved JT for Mixon, Chase Brown, the 107 and 309. I like that deal, but I'm confused because I thought you got the 107 in the Josh Allen deal. Move JT for Mixon, Brown, 107, 309. Casey says, agreed, it was tough, but I wanted to shake up. League has a standard of 3 first-round picks for top-tier quarterbacks. Oh, okay, that's the 109. Right, so JT for Mixon, Brown, the 109 and the 309. I don't hate that deal. The 109 is a little bit low for me, but if Mixon leaves and Chase Brown becomes a starter, I think you'll be sitting pretty with that trade. He says, traded Quentin Johnson for the 302. Okay. You got to think about it, 10-man league. We think from a 12-man perspective. So in reality, that's more like the 210 value. That's probably about where he'd be valued. Traded Bateman for the 307. Traded Deontay for Kmet. Pretty sure I'm waiting until NFL draft to move any late first for 25 first if possible. 101 is 100% going Caleb. I plan on going Marvin Harrison Jr., then the 103. Also doesn't need quarterback, so might be able to get May and Jaden and then follow up with Bowers. Okay, sorry. The 101 is going Caleb. Well, I'm a little slow. All right, give me a break here. I plan on going Marvin. I'm assuming you have the 102, right? And then the 103 needs a quarterback. Okay, understood. Curious your thoughts. Congrats to Badaki on the incoming baby. My little sister also is expecting any day. That is cool to hear. And Casey's in the chat says, I would have taken Fab for QJ. Yeah, I hear you. I do want to get like a late second, ideally, for Quentin. But that might have been the market in your league. And again, taking into account that it is a 10-man, that almost is a late second value from my perspective when I think about 12-man versus 10-man formats. Okay, so we made a lot of moves. At the 101... Caleb Williams for sure. We don't have the 101. We have the 102. So you're telling me what you think is going to happen. The 103 likely going wide receiver. The 105 Michael quarterback currently has Herbert and Love with no one else. Okay. All right, cool. So look, I will say I think the Josh Allen move, we talked about this. I think that could have yielded a higher return in most leagues. I get that you wanted to shake stuff up though. You kind of wanted to go in a different direction. The JT deal, I don't hate this deal. You did say it was a 109 instead of the 107. I would have rather gotten like a more premium pick. You know, instead of the 109, give me the 106 and Chase Brown, for example. I know that owner probably didn't have the 106, do you know what I mean? But QJ for a late second when I'm thinking 12-man. So I don't hate these deals. I don't love losing Deontay for Kmet in a non-tight end premium format. I think that's a move you make in a tight end premium league. But at the same time, I can also recognize that if Caleb Williams is a Chicago Bear and they don't go wide receiver at pick 9, they address it later in the draft, then Kmet could have a little bump in his value. So that makes sense. Let me take a little sip of tea here as I digest this. Casey says, I added some more replies. There was a Gibbs trade too. Okay, let's have a look at that then. Let's see. Where are these replies? He says, other move was I moved Gibbs and got Jason, Josh Jacobs, and Bryce Young. I don't hate that. I'm still in on Jason. Y'all know, if you've been on the channel, my personal feelings on Josh Jacobs. But again, I always go back to this being a 10-man league. Those type of assets, like your Bijan, your Gibbses, your Breeses, your Josh Allens, I just personally feel like in a 10-man, those guys should garner even more in return. And if you can flip Josh Jacobs into like a mid-first, I don't dislike this deal. In fact, that probably should be your goal, to flip Jacobs, because you're not competing right now for a mid-25 first, which, by the way, the 2025 class, maybe I'll make a video on it later, but that running back class looks absolutely stacked. But I'm not going to say like I dislike the deal. It's just I feel like we could have got more considering the format. And final move, traded Keenan Allen for Tank Dell in a 25 second, which, quite frankly, how? How did you get Tank Dell and a second for Keenan Allen? I mean, well done. Well done. That deal right there is an absolute zinger. But let's look at the team. We'll talk it through. And Casey, as I'm talking, feel free to add any feedback. So we'll start with the quarterback room. I like the addition of Bryce Young. We will continue to say this on the channel. Some people hate that we're so anti-consensus. We've seen comments like that. I don't really feel like we are. I just think we think more critically at times about situations, and we try and include all the context. I think everyone loves CJ Stroud. I love CJ Stroud. He's a consensus top 4 quarterback in Dynasty right now. But I think people who are unwilling to admit that if CJ Stroud ended up in Carolina, people who are unwilling to admit that he would not have had a good rookie year, I think are just a little bit short-sighted in not understanding the full picture of this, rookie season that we're trying to paint for both of these names. You put Bryce Young in Houston, he looks better this year. You put CJ Stroud in Carolina, he probably doesn't look that good. That offensive line is atrocious. I know they were good the year before that they fell apart. Ike Ekwonu was not the same player either. No weapons. You guys have probably seen all over Twitter these charts where it talks about receiver separation and accurate passes. Bryce Young's way over here. He's way over here where he's accurate, but no one's getting separation. And keep in mind, guys, that Bryce Young, the entire coaching staff they built around him fell apart halfway through one season. That coaching staff didn't last a season. So I like the Bryce Young buy. I like buying him on the low. I like buying him cheap. Deshaun Watson, I think he's actually a pretty, if you're in this, I'd say you're in a 1-year punt rather than a rebuild. I think you're really just retooling rather than rebuilding. But, in this type of team, I actually don't mind him because he's one of those names where it's you can hate on Deshaun Watson all you want. We're not here to talk about his character. But what we are here to talk about is the guaranteed money the Browns literally cannot get out of. No quarterback ever has had that guaranteed money. There's literally not a scenario they get out of that money. So money talks. Watson's going to be the starter for multiple years. Geno Smith's definitely up there in the air, and I like Aiden O'Connell as a stash. We've talked about that. So I think your quarterback room is fine. You talked about adding Marvin with the 102. I think that's a great option. And then at the 104, you can add your quarterback of choice. So I like that move with the quarterback room. You'll be sitting pretty. Tons of upside and not a lot of proven, guys that you can build around. But that's okay. We're retooling. At the running back spot, Jacobs, Javonte, Mixon, Brown. I love this combo right here. In fact, I feel like in your position, I wouldn't feel a huge need to move either of these two guys right now. I would hold on to Joe because ultimately, if Joe does not get cut and he is the starter, he's going to give you more value in season than he would right now. However, if he is cut, then at least you have Chase Brown, who is likely going to be the starter. Chase Brown, a name that we brought up in one of our first buy low videos this offseason. A little bit harder to acquire probably after that news. I like Javonte Williams. Here's what I'll say. Of these 4, the 2 that I would like to hold is Javonte and Chase Brown because I feel confident both of those names could gain value heading into 2024 and even beyond. I don't feel that way about the others, and I'm not going to sit here and say Josh Jacobs' career is over. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's looking completely bleak. What I will say is analytically, name an analytic that you look at for a running back. Josh Jacobs was way down this year compared to the year before. We can't think about Josh Jacobs in this free agency pool the same way we thought about him last year, because you're kidding yourself if you don't think NFL teams are looking at those analytics when they negotiate a contract with a running back. So in my personal opinion, with this sort of retooling team, I would say whenever Josh Jacobs signs somewhere, I'm not saying you have to trade him away straight away, but my goal would be to get a 2025 first round pick. Ideally, a mid first round pick if that's possible. And it feels like everyone's selling their 25 first. Maybe I should make a video on this. I actually thought about this. it feels like everyone's selling their first round picks next year because the consensus is that it's a terrible class. I think that's a little bit silly. People being able to predict a year from now, that's a bit silly to me. You know, we've seen this year after year. So I maybe should make a video about that. But ideally a mid-25 first is what you'd be looking there, Casey, for Josh Jacobs. I wouldn't force a deal for any of these other names. Zach Moss, if he gets a decent contract, you might be able to get a second. And I don't really see anyone else with much value, if I'm honest. At wide receiver, this is a fun part of your team. You've got Jefferson, Dell, Jason, and you also mentioned you're going to add Marvin. So that's a very good wide receiver room. It is a start 9, meaning 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs. I guess that means 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, or 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flexes. So that probably means you can start 4 wide receivers. And then at tight end, we got Kmet and Waller. But it looks like we could definitely add a Brock Bowers to this team at the 106 or the 107. Give me a second and let me ask my wifey to turn the AC on. I am burning up in here. Casey says 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Okay, understood. Can you slide the camera over? Oh, yes, my bad. Let me get my big ass head out of the way. Let's I guess here's a good spot, right? But yeah, that beautiful draft capital, man. That beautiful draft capital is going to help you a lot. But let's see what your vision was for these picks, because you had a little plan here. At the 101, you said that guy's going Caleb Williams. Then you were going to go Marvin. At the 103, likely going wide receiver, so you think he goes Neighbors, which means at the 104, you have your pick between May or Daniels. I love that. At the 105, Michael quarterback currently has Herbert and Love with no one else. So that leaves you at the 106 and the 107 to take both. You can't really lose here, right? Because how you're going to end this draft is with Marvin Harrison Jr., Daniels or May, and then Odunze and Bowers. That's fantastic. That's going to definitely help your team fill out. It's going to improve your quarterback room, drastically improve your wide receiver room, and then obviously give you a solidified tight end. I mean, you are hitting a home run with this draft, potentially, if things go right. Now, at the 109, we probably 10-man league. I mean, you probably want to force a running back in there. I wouldn't. I would go best player available, which is probably let me pull up my rankings so I can reference them. Yeah, at the 109, we're probably looking at a Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin. Honestly, with your team, just take best player available. So if people hate JJ McCarthy, but he goes at 8 to the Falcons or to the Raiders, Broncos in the first round, McCarthy's totally in play there for you. Same with Bo Nix if he goes in any of those spots as well. Casey says, I was trying to work a 109 in Jacobs for Hall, but likely can't get that done. Yeah. And quite honestly, man, I don't think you really need to make a move like that right now with this team anyway. I don't think my goal with this team at this very moment would be getting a elite running back. Because not to say that you can't compete this year, but you just don't. Your expectation is not that you're going to win the league this year right as you retool, right? I think you have a year to give yourself like no expectations as far as competing. Like, this is a 1-year punt, and then that's maybe a deal that you can look at next year. But think about it this way. If you hit on the 109 with a wide receiver, if Brian Thomas hits or Troy Franklin or one of those quarterbacks, and you already trade Josh Jacobs this offseason at some point for a 2025 first, then you have more assets to kind of play around with. But yeah, I mean, This team, you've done a lot of the hard work for yourself already, but ideally, as we head into the 2024 offseason, this is how I would envision your team personally, right? We've got Bryce Young, Deshaun Watson, Aiden O'Connell. Maybe we've moved on from Geno for a second, if that's possible. And we've also got Drake May or Jaden Daniels. At the running back spot, I would prefer to have moved on from Josh Jacobs for a 25 first. We'll rock with Javonte, Joe Mixon, and Chase Brown for this punt. Being very open to moving Joe Mixon if he ends up being the starter. At the wide receiver spot, we're going to add Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze to a group that already has Justin Jefferson, Tank Dell, Jason Dobbs. And at the tight end spot, we're going to add Brock Bowers. So your team is going to look so hot to start the year. And at the 109, Nelson actually was literally just reading my mind. He says, I would trade back from the 109, get 2 seconds and 2/3 if he can take it. The running backs this year. So that is totally an option. My mind almost went like at the 109, I'd be willing to now look, it depends on who's there. Like if Brian Thomas goes to the Bills and he's there, you don't pivot off of him. I think you just stick and pick. If JJ is a top 15 pick and he's there, you stick and pick, right? Like this is a little bit fluid, right? But I would say if at the 109 you wanted to trade back, I'd be looking to get a first in next year. And the 109 isn't like the 111 where you just kind of straight swap. I think you can get a first next year and swap a second and a third with an owner if someone's desperate. And the thing is, people are going to want in on your draft because look, you're dominating most of the draft. People are going to want in on the fun. So you're going to have an opportunity to trade back, obviously maximize value towards the NFL draft. I would say is when you're going to maximize that value with those players. But yeah, I'd be totally open to moving back. But with these thirds and fourths, just like we mentioned before, actually, look, I think the 302 and the 304 are great values this year. That's where I'm taking shots at running backs, probably. Now, if there's a wide receiver on the board that we just love, we can go that way. But that's probably where I'm taking shots on running backs. Who fell? Was it Estime? Was it Corum? Was it name a running back? Was it Braylon Allen? Was it Marshawn Lloyd? Not Tajay Spears, Bucky Irvin. You know, that's where we start to take a shot on some of those running backs and just see what hits. I mean, imagine you hit a Tajay Spears level player heading into your second year. I mean, you'd feel pretty good about that. And same can be said at the 310 and the 404. Just take shots on running backs and wide receivers at that point. But this is a very exciting team, man. I think you've got a good direction. And you've got a good amount of assets to kind of put this ship in the right direction. I want to take a second and answer any of Chase's questions. And while I do that, I'm going to turn the AC on myself. I don't know where my wife is, but I'm literally sweating in here right now. So I'm going to take a second, turn the AC on in my house. Please ask me any questions, Casey. I'll be right back. All right, we are back. Sorry about that, gang. But yeah, I mean, this is a good team, man. Very exciting team. Like I said, I mean, I guess it could be nitpicky, but like I mentioned with like the JT deal and the Josh Allen deal, I just felt like in this league, you might have been able to get more, but you know your league better than me. What I will say is you've got the right draft capital, the right pillar players to build around long term. And what I always like to tell people is these are the names that I'm just not trading away right now, whether they're pillars or whether I think their value could increase. Bryce Young, Aiden O'Connell, Javonte Williams, Chase Brown, all three of these wide receivers. Yeah, that's the guys I'm definitely holding on to. Casey says, you're a good homie. Appreciate the review. If you want to break down a random offer I got for the 107, here it is. Russell Wilson, Hollywood, and Zamir. No, yeah, that's an awful offer. Look, like based off the market value right now, Hollywood's a great buy. But based off of the market right now, that is an awful offer. Truly awful. Tank is not really a sell for me in K1 because, look, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Tutu Atwell, you know, a lot of these smaller guys are starting to thrive in the NFL. And when you look at the injury Tank had, like, was it really his fault? You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I think is replicable. It's more on the coaching staff than it is on Tank Dell's size. He got injured because he was right behind offensive linemen on the goal line. What was their idea there? How was he going to contribute to that team? So for me, he's not a sell. But it always depends on what the offer is, right? Yes. Love Tank. I picked QJ at the 107. Stroud was 0. We'll never forget that. It's all right, man. It's all right. I definitely hear ya. But yeah, good team, man. Very excited about the future of that one. And, you know, as always, hit us up in the fantasy hotline if you do have any questions. We'd be always happy to give some feedback. Casey says, partly why I sold Allen so I don't overlook quarterback because I have a top-tier talent already. I hear you. I hear you. But that was a fun team to review because you have some good pillars and you have great draft capital to build around. So I think you're sitting pretty, and that's an exciting one to think about the future, what it could look like. Hey, guys, if you're watching, you probably know this by now, but I am reviewing Dynasty teams for people who are supporting us on the Flock Fantasy website. Do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button just to show us some love to help the channel grow. It's just a very simple way for you to help this channel grow. Let's get to 50 likes. We're already around 30. I think we can hit 50 like goal here on this stream together. Let's set that as the goal today together. 50 likes, about 20 likes away at the moment. All right, heads up. We're going to the next team now. And I think I saw a comment saying Lonely Shew is here. Shewy says, Lonely Shew, I finally got the team owner up. And now for after Casey's team. Okay, sounds good. So, how do you guys know each other, by the way? Because your name is Shewy Chewy. Is this like a Call of Duty gang? You guys have the same clan tag or something? But we're going to look at his team. But if you guys want your teams reviewed on these streams like this, then go ahead and use the promo code LAND, become a Mother Flocker member, and that's going to get you 30% off, as well as a Dynasty team review. Once you sign up with the code LAND to the Mother Flocker tier, go to account, link your Discord. Once you've linked your Discord, you should be able to see all of the premium channels that are locked here under the Fantasyland tab, including the roster submissions tab. And heads up, you can now officially click instant access when you're signing up, so you skip the 7-day free trial, because everyone just has to wait if they do the free trial, you just have to wait for that trial to end to get a team review. So just a heads up on that. Shui says, no, that's just my Discord name, but the team owner is Smellancolly. Okay, no, that sounds good. No worries. All right, so let's have a look at this team here. Thank you, ColdCase, again. Thank you for the support. So Lonely Shew is up next. Okay, so it says team name Kraken. Is that not the team I'm looking at? Because you said team name is Smellancolly. I don't see. So it must be Kraken. I don't see a Smellancolly there. Okay, Kraken's the team name. Let's have a look at the context. Team name is Kraken. 12 teams, SuperFlex, half PPR, start 8. No negative points. Okay, so start 8. We're going to have to think about that a little bit differently. Yeah, start 8 is... Start 8 SuperFlex. That is a very small roster for your positional players. That's a very small roster. Your superstars are going to be even more valuable in a format like this. He says he has the 101, 102, 103, 105. You'd love to see that. Running backs are valued more in this league. Traded everything away and tanked this year for Marvin. Any suggestion what to do after I take Marvin? Yeah, let's have a look at the team then. Again, it's a 12-team SuperFlex half PPR, start 8. So let's keep in mind that these superstars are more valuable than we think. Yeah, just a heads up, Nelson. You get one team review per membership, but the good news is you have the fantasy hotline with us. So we tell this to everyone who signs up. If you want other teams looked at, you can just pop them in the fantasy hotline, and we always give feedback on teams as well. I have no doubt that anyone who's signed up with us will vouch for that. So yeah, there's not really a limit to the amount of advice, personalized advice you can get from us. It's just that live team review, it's just one per person. Otherwise, we would never stop every second. But Kraken, let's have a look at the team here. Aiden O'Connell, Jameis Winston, Tommy DeVito. So very clearly, we need some quarterbacks. We definitely need some quarterbacks here. We'll talk about that. At the running back spot, we have Tajay, Keaton, Foreman. Not a lot there outside of Tajay. At the wide receiver spot, Tank Dell, Jameson Williams, Wicks, Sutton, Wilson, Mooney. And at the tight end spot, McBride, Likely, Otten. Is this tight end premium? I don't think so. I don't think it's tight end premium, right? Let me double check. No tight end premium. Otherwise, it would have been mentioned. All right. Well, let's start by saying this. Having those draft picks this year more than any other year could turn around this team quite quickly. Okay? It could turn around this team quite quickly. Now, I also noticed that you have a treasure chest of 2025 picks as well. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 first-round picks. And the good news is, in this draft, you're going to hit on quarterbacks and wide receivers. And maybe Tajay and Keaton. Keaton is not going to be healthy. But maybe those guys will put you in the playoff conversation, right? But next year, the running back class is much, much better. And you're going to be able to build a complete team with the amount of picks that you have in these classes. In fact, it almost feels like all of your weaknesses are perfectly complemented by the draft capital that you currently have. So that's a very, very good thing. But at quarterback, this is very simple. The first 3 picks are... I think we could play this a little bit differently, actually. Here's how I would play the first 3 picks, and hear me out here. 101, Caleb. 102, Marvin. I don't care what order you put them in. You have those picks. You do not move those picks. Those picks are home. They're not moving anywhere unless you get an absolute haul that you just cannot say no to. At the 103, because we have the 105, we can let May or Daniels fall to us. And because I feel like those guys are in the same tier, that means at the 103, we can comfortably take Malik Neighbors. And then at the 105, we will take Drake May or Jaden Daniels, whoever falls to us there. So automatically, with these 4 picks, our team now looks like Caleb Williams, Daniels, or May. Same running backs, but now we have Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell. And that is going to be very helpful in a league where you can start 3 wide receivers. We think, at least I can only speak for myself, I think these are elite talents. I think these are the type of players that could be top 12 ranked for 4 to 5 to 6 years in their prime in redraft leagues. So all of a sudden you've got Caleb Williams here. You've got Jaden Daniels or Drake May here. Your running back room looks the same, but you've got Marvin, you've got Malik, and then you've got Tank and Trey. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Excuse me, I ate some yogurt earlier. I didn't want to burp on the stream. It just feels like a little bit gross to do. But yeah, I mean, your team's going to look much better after the draft. Let's catch up with Shew. He says there's talks for the 101 for Jay Jettis, he would take Caleb. So if you move the 101 for Justin Jefferson, which I don't hate the deal, obviously Jefferson is more valuable than the 101 at this point, but I think it's very close. I think the issue with you not taking quarterback, which I guess we could play it differently, is that your quarterback room is so weak. But let's play out this world. So you don't have the 101 anymore, but you have but instead you have, come on, words are helpful here, Justin Jefferson. Now Caleb is no longer available to you, but what we can do is at the 102 we can go May or Daniels. Well, what we would have to do, okay, what we would have to do if we did that is the 101's gone, that's Justin Jefferson. The 102 and the 103 would be Marvin and May or Daniels. And then you're no longer kind of determining what falls to you at the 105. So you're in a little bit of a tough spot there because there's a scenario here where you get 3 wide receivers. And don't get me wrong, like Justin Jefferson is a great pick here. Like getting him for the 101 is great value. But hear my thought process here. There is a scenario where if the person at the 104 goes quarterback, which is very likely, you will end up having only one quarterback you're excited about, and that's either May or Daniels. And next year's class doesn't look very good at this moment. That could change. But then you have 4 wide receivers that you love in Jefferson, Marvin, Malik, and Tank, but you can only start 3 of them. You hear where I'm coming from here? So I think in a normal league, it's a no-brainer, but I think your situation makes it a little bit difficult. That makes it a little bit difficult. Shuey says, I'm a major fan of Marvin Harrison Jr. Really want him to be on my team, so I'm very biased too. WG says 101 Justin Jefferson, 102 Daniels, 103 May, 105 Rome or Neighbors. But then you're letting Marvin Harrison Jr. fall to the 104. You know? I don't know. Look, I'm not going to say like there's a wrong way to play this. But if it were me, I'm just thinking about your league. Again, start 8 in a SuperFlex. Let me ask you this. Is there any direction or expectation that your starting lineup will expand on this team? That would be a question I would have. You do forego Mar for JJ, but you're also letting Mar fall to the 104. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that could potentially be something that haunts you for a while. It was a start 7 this year. It is start 8. Okay. So you don't anticipate them in a year being like, hey, let's do a start 10 now, you know? Because if this was a start 10, I think that plan would make a lot more sense. But there's a couple factors at play here. Number one, you have a lot of 2025 first-round picks, and quarterbacks could come out of nowhere. But at the moment, it doesn't look like a real strength of this class. Remember, this time last year, all we were talking about was Caleb Williams and Drake May, and they lived up to that. I mean, is Shedeur Sanders? I mean, could he be, worthy of that type of consideration? Probably. But yeah, look, I don't know. I think if it was me, I think I would stick with these picks, as crazy as that sounds. Because in a way, if you get Jefferson, you kind of have to let Marv fall to someone. Now, the other option here is that we somehow trade up from the 105 to the 104. Okay? In this format, can we combine the 105 and... Jeez, you don't have much, though. Can we combine the 105 and Isaiah Likely? And I'm sorry to Wicks, but in a league where you can start 3 wide receivers, can we add Dontavion Wicks in there? Can we add Cortland Sutton? Can we add 1 or 2 of these thirds? Maybe some of these thirds in 2025 to move up 1 spot. I think most people are on the same page that the top 5 are really, really valuable. So that is the 2 ways I would personally play this out. And you know what? Why don't we go ahead and get a little document going? Everyone knows when you start to pull out the old document, that's when it starts to get serious now. We're not playing around anymore. Okay? We're not playing around. It's getting serious now. Scenario 1. I mean, we're drawing up a battle plan here. Scenario 2. All right, scenario 1. The 101 is, let's just go, the easy route here. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, and then at the 105, we go Daniels or May, whoever is there. And that would complement your roster really well. Scenario 2, trade for Justin Jefferson. Okay. This is scenario 2. We trade for Justin Jefferson at the 102. You said he was going to take Caleb at the 101 if he made that trade. So at the 102, we go Marvin Harrison Jr. again. Then at the 103, we go May or Daniels. And then we need to trade for the 104 plus X. What does X equal? And then ultimately what we want to end up there with is, again, May or Daniels. Okay? Scenario 1, scenario 2. These are the 2 ways that you can pan it out. Now, all we're trying to do here is give you advice and give you ideas and what we would do. That doesn't mean that you have to follow it to a T. You can. I guess we'll throw out scenario 3. What you can do in scenario 3 is trade for Justin Jefferson. I think you have to go. I just don't think Marvin should fall to the 104. But you take Marvin after that. You take May or Daniels, and then you take May, Daniels, and Malik. Now, the issue is, if it's Malik, you're going to be in a position where you have 4 wide receivers you want to start, but only 3 starting slots. Okay? And that's not going to be fun. And of course, bye weeks, injuries, I'm not saying they won't ever be necessary, but it's going to be frustrating. Okay? So, there is how you play it out. Shuey says, I'm leaning Caleb over JJ. Just need a second opinion on the JJ trade. Shuey says a lot of people are locked into their quarterbacks and don't want to trade them away. Yeah, so that's difficult. That's difficult. So yeah, this is scenario 1, 2, and 3. Anytime someone has like a lot of draft picks, I feel like it's helpful to do this. If you want to screenshot this, then go ahead and pause here and you can screenshot. But also, you don't have to. But yeah, there's your scenarios 1, 2, and 3. Now I guess you're coming to the stream and asking what my ideal scenario is. my ideal scenario is scenario 1. Given the format, my ideal scenario is scenario 1. To the whiteboard. It would be fun to have like a little whiteboard and like have a camera coming down. Yeah, I agree, Styles. Shewy says, I didn't even think of the take Neighbors over May/Daniels first, taking quarterback at 5. Scenario 1's looking like his favorite. Yeah, I agree. I think that's also my favorite for this team. But yeah, man, look, if you looked at this team and you didn't take into context any of the draft picks, you'd be like, oof, that's a rough one. But this class and its strengths are going to probably turn you into a 1-year turnaround. In fact, you're probably competing year 1 if these rookies really start to play well towards the end of the year. But given scenario 1, your ideal starting lineup, again, let's keep in mind we can only start 8. Lord, right? 8, yeah. So our ideal starting lineup is Caleb Williams, May or Daniels, right? And you can talk to us in the hotline. We'll decide what the right second quarterback is there towards the draft date. Tajay Spears, Keaton Mitchell, because we have to start 2 running backs. At the wide receiver spot, we're starting Marvin, we're starting Malik Neighbors, and we're starting Tank Dell. And at the tight end spot, we're starting Trey McBride. That team, if these rookies perform the way that we think they can, now there's no guarantee, you're probably competing for the playoffs year 1. And you don't need to trade any of these picks away while you're competing. Because the perfect thing here is that the strengths of next year's class will be your weaknesses, which are the running backs. Let me name some running backs for people that excite me in 2025. Ollie Gordon is the first one that comes to mind. But give me a second here. Some names, if you have this team that you should be excited about, that you should be thinking about for next year. Travion Henderson, for sure. We knew he was going to come out in this class. I don't think I'd put Donovan Edwards in that category anymore. Maybe he could bounce back, but definitely Nick Singleton, Trevor Etienne, Ollie Gordon for sure out of Oklahoma State, Quinshawn Judkins, obviously, Damian Martinez out of Oregon State. I mean, that dude is lethal. Do not sleep on Damian, my guys. Why did I say my guys? I don't know. Everyone, just don't do it. Whoever you are, okay? It's a good class. I'm excited about it. Devin Neal's nice. Devin Neal's nice too. But yeah. So that's the direction I would take this team. And to be honest, there's no clear sell on this team. You know, typically I would tell people, hey, this is a guy that I'd like to trade for X. But there really isn't a clear sell. I would say probably like Sutton. If he signs a contract in free agency, don't get me wrong, Sutton's a good player. But when you're starting 3 wide receivers on a team and you have Malik, Marvin, and Tank, it's just, do you really need him, right? Do you really need him? So, Lonely Shew, I'm going to give you, let me know. I'm going to go on to the next team, but I want to answer any questions that you have. So hit me with any questions you have before we move on. Again, we talked about these picks, but at the 306 and the 309, like we talked about with the previous team, that's where you probably just want to take shots on some running backs that are there. You might miss on some. You might hit a Zach Evans, but you might hit a Chase Brown as well, right? Or a Tajay. So keep that in mind with those picks. I would just try and take a shot at those running backs and see what hits and what doesn't. But yeah, let me know. I am going to go to the next team. If there's any final questions, I would be happy to answer them. So let me know in the chat. But of course, your fantasy hotline is always available as well. Do we know if Jams is here? Is Jams in the chat? If he's not, we can skip him and do him next week. I know he talked about that. So I'll find out if Jams is in the chat, but let's move on to the next person, which would be ButteryBackon. I think I saw him in the chat, right? Ben Morgan says, for Buttery Bacon, about to eat dinner, but should be back on available in like 20 minutes if that works. Happy until the next session as well. Let me know if you're in the chat, Buttery Bacon. Is Chef Cookie here? Chef Cookie reacted. Maybe he's on the stream. Let's see if Chef Cookie is here. I got to do one of these guys. Adam is Chef Cookie. That's perfect. Let's do Adam's team then. Let's see. Okay, guys, give me a second. I'm gonna be right back. Give me 1 second. Sorry, gang. Give me 5 minutes. All right, sorry about that, gang. We the house that we're renting right now is being sold, and the agent just loves to come over unannounced and just ask for random things. I know there are certain rules in America, but those don't apply here. But we're back. Okay, so it looks like we have Chef Cookie in the chat. We've got Jams in the chat. All right, let's go Jams first since he was the next up. Jams, let me know you're here with me. Yeah, I should have told him that. Hey man, we're working here. Let's do Jams team. I'm glad he's here with us. Where are you at, Jams? Appreciate everyone supporting the show and showing some love, by the way, guys. Big love. We got Lonely Shew. All right, let's do Jams here. All right, Sleeper ID. Let's have a look at the squad. And again, guys, just before I get into this next team, I just want to remind you guys, if you do want your team reviewed by yours truly on the Dynastyland channel, very simple. Okay, all you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member with our promo code LAND on the Flock Fantasy website. Now, when you sign up, there is an option to click instant access, so you skip the 7-day free trial. If you don't skip the 7-day free trial, you just have to wait for that trial to end to get your team reviewed. But once you sign up, you become a Mother Flocker member, go to account, okay, right here at the top right, link your Discord, and then you should instantly gain access to all of our premium channels, including the roster submissions text channel. So DM me if you have any questions, or of course I'd be happy to answer any questions on here. We'll get to Jam's teams right here right now. Aaron did just donate a super chat. He says on the last 2 orders, so we'll be available after this DoorDash. If you do get to my roster tonight, yeah, I'll let you know for sure, Aaron. That would be awesome. Shout out to DoorDash, man. Shout out to DoorDash. I'd be curious to know what sort of money you're making from DoorDash. I thought about doing that. But thanks for the donation, man. Appreciate you. But all right, Jams. Father James, let me know you're in the chat. We're going to go Jams here. All right, Jams, let's have a look at his team. I just tagged him on Discord to make sure that he knows that we're looking at his squad here. His team name is Stroud Boys. His team name is Stroud Boys. And it looks like you are number 1 in the power rankings, which is awesome to see. You're ranked 99 out of 100. We got a couple teams in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. But you're the only team in the 90s here. And it says you have no draft picks. But we'll have a look at the context. We'll read the context, of course, of the squad. So let's have a look. Jams is here with us. You love to see it. Okay, 12-team, SuperFlex, half PPR, and it's a tight end premium. He says the context is we are moving into the second year of this Dynasty League. He says, I lost the first round of the playoffs because Baris and Bijan didn't even score more than 3 points. Yeah, that's tough. That is tough. And during the season, I was able to make a couple great trades. The best one was probably selling Hurts, Smith, Josh Jacobs, and my 24 first for Justin Jefferson, Bijan, and Olave. I later traded Olave for Laporta straight up to River Rat around week 2. After the season ended, I traded Puka, Charbonnet, and Amari Cooper for Stroud. And I also traded a few of my older assets, such as Mark Andrews, Tony Pollard, and Devontae Adams for the 105, 110, and McBride. I really like that trade there. Andrews, Pollard, Adams for the 110, 105, and McBride. That's a great deal. And then he says, after that, I moved the 105 straight up for Garrett Wilson, and then I sold the 110 for DK and Rashawn. Issues, I think this team is really great on paper, but I feel like if even one of my players goes down for the season, I'll be screwed, especially since I sold all my picks until 2027. He says, I know that must make you guys squirm. I'm sorry. And I have no depth. So what should I try to do to create some depth/stability? Do I need to down tier if I want to succeed the next few years? PS Team 9, Little Tank, and I got into a heated argument around mid-season, so we have a mutual understanding that we won't trade with each other. And congratulations on the baby, Badaki. By the way, heads up on that. I am happy to announce officially that baby Badaki has officially been born. When Badaki is back from his paternity leave, he can tell you all about it and answer any questions. I'll let him do that. But I can confirm, baby was born, all healthy. He's doing well. His wife is doing well, and now they just get to start, being parents and figuring that out. So I can confirm to everyone. I know y'all been really awesome with the support. That the baby is great. It's looking good, looking healthy. Birth went well, and they are, just cycling through the beginning stages of parenthood. So very good news. Very good news. And everyone is saying, welcome to the world, baby Badaki. Let's go. Congrats. No worries. I'm glad I was able to share that news with you guys today. But okay. So, Jams, I am going to look at your team. What it sounds like is you went all out to build a super team. You're scared about your depth, and you have no picks until 2027. Now, do I like the idea of having no first round picks for 3 years? No, you're right. It does make me squirm a little bit, especially if we're lacking depth. We'll talk about it. However, the ultimate goal is to win leagues, right? Some people get so caught up in having the most draft picks in the league. That's great. But hey, guess what? You don't win your buy-in or the league, or you don't win any money by by having the most draft picks. So I'll just say that before we start. But let's have a look at the team. If it's any consolation, Keep Trade Cut has you ranked 99 out of 100. All right, so SuperFlex start 9 tight end premium. We have Stroud Murray. But outside of Stroud and Murray, yeah, this is where things get tough, man. Almost wish we held our 105 there. I kind of wish we held our 105 there. This team could have survived without Garrett, I think. Look, we have Stroud, we have Murray. That's an incredible 1-2 punch. That's a great 1-2 punch. That's a 1-2 punch that you feel good about for the next 3 years. Which again, we're talking about not having our draft picks for the next 3 years. But I don't see a single starter after that. So, like you mentioned, if Kyler goes down with an injury, if CJ Stroud goes down with an injury, that could very easily hurt, that could very easily hurt our team and our chances of winning. Father says it's probably the best. I called you Father. Jams says it was probably the better business decision to keep the 105. That's okay. Getting Garrett Wilson is not equivalent to the 105. It's just you might have put your team in a more difficult position. We'll talk about it. At the running back spot, we've got Bijan and Breece. But again, outside of Bijan and Breece, I like Rashawn Johnson. There's no guarantee he's ever a fantasy contributor. And as much as I love Zach Evans, rest in peace, we don't have a single running back that we feel good about outside of those 2.3, right? Good news is at the wide receiver spot, we're very deep. Well, we're not deep, but we're top heavy. Jefferson, Lamb, Wilson, Metcalf. And in the tight end premium, we've got Laporta and McBride. Those could be pieces we could potentially move. So, look, what I will say is, if this team stays completely healthy over the next 3 years, I have no doubt that at some point you will win a championship. However, we have no idea how long certain players are going to stay healthy for, or freak injuries that happen. So yes, it would be ideal to get some sort of depth on this team. Unfortunately, we have to be very realistic about the players that we have. None of these quarterbacks that I just highlighted. I realize I've been reviewing your team, and my dumbass has not even been showing you. We're trying our best. We're trying our best. All these quarterbacks here that I'm highlighting, none of them have any trade value whatsoever. Let's just be honest. And it's unlikely that any of them are real starters. The same can be said for these running backs here. Not much trade value. The same could be said for these wide receivers here. Derek says, I thought you knew it wasn't up. No, I'm an absolute fool. I hear you. I hear you, Jams. I hear you. So we're going to have to get a little bit creative here if we want to make a move. Now, I'll say this. Do you have to make a move to improve your depth? No, you don't have to. What you could do is go into the season with this team, and if an injury happens, then you could look at the process of tearing down to a different player. Okay, that's option one. Let's get the board out. Okay, let's get the board out. You know it's getting serious. Option one. We'll call this Operation Keep It Simple, Stupid. Okay. And that is just keep all of the players you have and head into the season. Okay. That's option one. Option two is look to pivot. Pivot. And here are the names that we could pivot from. Look to pivot slash trade for depth. Let's call that option two. Okay. We need a whiteboard, don't we? Okay, so here are some names. Trey McBride / Sam Laporta. Here is what works in your favor. You're in a tight end premium format. There's not a soul in Dynasty football that doesn't want these names. That's great. That is a great thing to have at your disposal. Okay? Let's look at some teams that need tight ends. And by the way, we do not have to sell anyone if we want to sell. We don't have to sell at any point, right? We can hold this team going into the season. We can sell in week 3. We can sell in week 5. We can sell after the 3rd preseason game, okay? So just keep that in mind. But let's look at some teams that could potentially use an upgrade at tight end. Team 3 comes to mind instantly. He's got pick 11, so he's out of range for Bowers. And he's not going to take Bowers at the 101. And with one of these picks, he could take Sanders, but this is definitely a team that is, what's the word? Like in contention, I guess, for a trade. I almost feel like I don't think he'd move off of Daniel Jones, but maybe he would. Could you do like Daniel Jones and the 111 or Jaden Reed? What if you tried Reed, White, and the 111 in a tight end premium? Let's see what the community would think about that. What would the community think about that? Tight end premium. This is a start. This is a 12 team. 12 team start 9. 12 team start 9, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. It probably looks like this, actually, if it's a start 9, right? Is a tight end premium. What's the premium, by the way? Jams, what's the premium? What's up, Goat Rings? Welcome in, my man. 0.2 PPR, so it's a half point premium. All right, so let's say we put Laporta on the block. Ideally, you want to keep Laporta, right? just he's going to get you the most return. But let's say we added Zamir. That's a sneaky add. We added Jaden Reed for depth, and we got the 111. What would the community think of this trade? And while I'm going to see what the community thinks, what does the chat think of this trade? What do you guys think of this deal for Jams? It says they're robbing you. Wonder what keep trade cuts calculator would say to that. I think in a tight end premium format, that's the type of deal that you could potentially get done. Now, if I were to put Laporta there, I bet you it says, yeah, this is an even deal. Let's have a look. It says you win that side, so potentially you could get even more. I'm keeping Laporta, but for McBride, what do you guys think about that trade for McBride? McBride, we said Zamir, we said the 111, and we said Jaden Reed. Isn't that what we said? So yeah, this is an option. Obviously, you'd like for it to be McBride, but if not McBride, you could do Laporta, and you might be able to ask for even more. Like, could you add Daniel Jones and then add, you don't really have anyone that he'd want in return, to be honest. So yeah, you probably couldn't add Daniel Jones there. But the other option for you is if he's like completely uninterested in Daniel Jones, could Daniel Jones be added into that deal? Again, tight end premium format, right? If he's completely uninterested in Daniel Jones or Zamir White, could you do one of those deals where you get Jones? For this deal, you're solving a couple problems with this deal when you get rid of Laporta. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm not even suggesting that you do this. I'm saying these are options for you. But if you do this deal, you get depth at quarterback. All signs right now are pointing towards Daniel Jones returning to the New York Giants. Even if you don't like Daniel Jones, if he is starting for this team in week 1, and let's say he puts up 16 in week 1, then 20 in week 2, 18 in week 3, you're going to be able to sell him for a different piece if you don't like him. But you're getting depth at wide receiver. You're getting depth at quarterback. You already have Trey McBride who can start for you. And then at the 111, we can either go a Trey Benson there, a Jonathan Brooks. Who's the running back that went in the top 50, right? They're in contention for you there. Or we can take a wide receiver, the best player available. Or guess what? Maybe a quarterback falls there. And then you can go out and get a J.J. McCarthy. And now you have more pieces that you can kind of move around for, right? So this is an option. Again, obviously we would like to keep Laporta, but at the same time, we have to be realistic. We have no picks until 2027. So we have got to use the pieces that we have to adjust a little bit, right? Father says, I think Daniel Jones is criminally undervalued. Yeah, so that is a deal that you could look at, right? That is a deal that you could look at. Again, we want to keep Laporta. We want it to be McBride, but if not, that's an offer that you could throw out there. And not only does it improve your quarterback depth, you're adding Daniel Jones to this room that has no other starter outside of the top 2. You're adding to your wide receiver depth, and you're also adding to your running back depth with that 111, whether you decide to trade it for a running back in the NFL today, or you go Benson, you go Brooks. This team could wait on a Jonathan Brooks. That's a great position that you're in. Or you go Ladd McConkey, a Troy Franklin falls, and then at some point you could trade those guys for running back depth should you need it if an injury were to occur. It gives you flexibility. Do you hear what I'm saying? Random, but I got accepted to FSU today. Hey, congratulations, man. Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment. Well done. Unfortunately, you didn't get to watch Trey Benson, but didn't they just got DJ Ungalele, so that will be exciting. Maybe. But shout out to the Knolls. But yeah, this is the type of moves that you're going to have to be looking at. That was one team that needed a tight end. We're not going to talk to Little Tank. Come see us on the block, Little Tank. Cheese. Hey, Cheese could use a tight end upgrade. Cheese could use an upgrade. We got an option here. Ooh, I like a sneaky Hollywood in an ETN. Ooh, a tight end premium format. Could we do that for McBride? Could we get a ETN and a Hollywood on the low? I wonder what both of these trade calculators say. Okay. I think that's doable. I think that's at least a conversation starter. There you go. Conversation starter. That's an option. Father says, I keep calling you father. Damn it. Jams says, yeah, he's been talking to Cheese a lot. What's Cheese been what's the cheese around the block then? What's the cheese around the block? You know, if he wants Laporta, could we wiggle our way into JSN and ETN? That could kill two birds with one stone. If he wants Laporta, can we wiggle our way into Jackson and ETN? Again, tight end premium format. Yeah, so you can try that package for McBride. You can try that package for Laporta. Those are two options. I also wouldn't be opposed to like one of these three quarterbacks being a part of that deal too. Like, would he trade Dak Prescott for Laporta? That could be the two main pieces in a deal. You could figure out what the rest of that deal is. That's another option for you. We got big money here. You said the 104 is definitely going Bowers. I think you said that somewhere. I think you said that somewhere. So we won't look at that team as a serious option. And with this team, I mean, could we do Ayuk and Cook? Again, you would probably have to do Laporta in that deal. And you know what? This might be asking too much, actually. Well, you could try it. Tight end premium league. You can try it. That's another offer that you could start with. I was trying to think like who the equivalent would be if we went with McBride there instead, but I'm not trading McBride for like Kirk and James Cook, or Kupp and James Cook. So that's not a good match there. But would he do like Cousins, Cook, and Kupp? Would he do something like that? It's a good time to buy Cousins before he gets his contract. Cousins, James Cook, and Cooper Kupp. Would he do that for McBride? Is that asking too much? Maybe. You might have to do Laporta there, and that doesn't get you super excited. It gives you depth, but it doesn't get you super excited, does it? Again, some options that you can try. Doesn't feel like there's a deal there with that team, and that guy's got Kelsey, so he's probably chilling. But yeah, those are a couple options. Like we said, we drew it up here. Option one, keep it simple. And if an injury happens, then we pivot. Option two, explore trades where we use one of Trey McBride or Sam Laporta to drastically improve our depth. Because for 3 years, we will not have a chance to improve our depth at all in any way outside of trades, right? I'm not going to call you father. Jam says, I'd aim for a receiver that isn't Kupp. Yeah, I'd had him the past 2 years and redraft. He ruined me forever. I hear you. But yeah, those were, 4 to 5 options that we talked about. And really, I mean, look, you could pivot. I think ideally you use one of these tight ends. I'd like to keep the rest of the team the same. But like if you're look, CJ Stroud, again, when we're pivoting, we want to think about the names that everyone loves. Everyone loves CJ Stroud. Right? Everyone loves CJ Stroud. What filters do we have here? Okay, there we go. Let's try and reset this. So if we're going to use CJ as a pivot option, can we pivot down to Justin Herbert? Right? I'd be open to pivoting to any of these names. Lamar, Herbert, Hurts, I guess. Love, A-Rich, Trevor, Purdy for sure. I think Trevor. Now, of course, the further you go down, the more you get in return. But would be super willing to pivot to Love or A-Rich or anyone if we can drastically improve future draft capital or overall depth, you know, get some big pieces. But Jam says, I got to duck it out now eating with my girl, and she's getting upset. Thank you guys for and congratulations, and thank you, Zach, for the review, my man. No worries. And as always, you've got your fantasy hotline available to you if you do have a question. But like I said, those are our two options there. I like a lot of those moves we talked about where we pivoted off of McBride and Laporta. But that's it for Jams. We appreciate you, man. Like I said, feel free to hit us up in the hotline if you do have some questions. We'll move on to the next team here, which we have done Lonely Shew. We have done Jams. We have done ColdCase. So ButteryBackon, I think you're next up. Are you in the chat with us, ButteryBackon? ButteryBacon's up next if he's with us. If he's with us, he's up next. Buttery is here. It's Ben Morgan. All right, let's do Butteries. Awesome. All right, we're going to get to Buttery's team here. But just to answer anyone's question who might be watching the video and saying, wait, how can I get my team reviewed like all these other guys are getting their team reviewed? Well, it's very simple. All you need to do is use the promo code LAND when you sign up to the Flock Fantasy website. I put a direct link in the chat there. There's also a direct link in the description. Once you sign up with our promo code LAND, you can choose the instant access button and skip the 7-day trial. If you do keep the 7-day trial, you just got to wait for that trial to end to get your team reviewed. But go to account at the top right, link your Discord, and then you should be able to get access to all the premium Discord channels under the Fantasyland tab, including the roster submissions tab. So that's how you get the thing done. But let's have a look at ButteryBacon's team here. We've got Ben in the chat. And Ben, as I'm going through your team, feel free to add any information you want or ask any questions as we go through it. And also to anybody watching the stream, do us a favor and hit that like button if you have yet to do so. We had a goal to hit 50 likes on today's stream. We're only 6 likes away, which is absolutely awesome. So do us a favor and hit that like button. But let's have a look at the context here. Hey, fellas. He says, before we get into it, I want to thank y'all for taking the time to check out the team and provide your analysis and expertise. Absolutely no problem. We want to thank you for your support, man. He says, just sign up for the Mother Flocker tier on Monday or Tuesday on the 5th of Feb. So I know I've got to wait for the free trial to end, but the details are listed below. And obviously his free trial has ended now. League format, it is a 10-team SuperFlex. Starting in 2024, so I assume it's one quarterback now. Half PPR, there's a 0.25 tight end premium, which starts next year, and start 11, including team defenses. Team name is Window Shopping. Current status: made stupid mistakes in the first year of Dynasty when I thought I was still a contender. Didn't value picks at all. After 2 straight 9th places, I decided to trade away assets after 2023 season to accumulate future draft picks. Draft status going into 2024 rookie. I currently have the 102, 103, 105, 107, 207, 304, and 2 firsts in 2025 and 2026. That's hot. That's fire hot. Can we get some fire emojis in the chat? Caleb is for sure going at the 101, and the same team has a 104 and doesn't need another quarterback. Current plan is to draft Marvin and Neighbors at the 102 and 103 and follow up with Daniels at the 105, SEC bias showing. Looking to potentially move on from the 107 if I can secure a future first and change, or potentially land Goff and change with the goal to fill out the quarterback/running back room in the next 2 years rookie drafts. I felt that the best strategy for my team going forward before our rookie draft last year, I'm pretty plugged into college football, was to get as many quality picks as I could heading into the 2024 rookie draft, address quarterback wide receiver room, and get leverage for that room in 25 and 26. Can't wait to see what y'all think. Thank you again for providing the opportunity to obtain an outside look and get some insight about what to do with this squad moving forward. Love the content. Y'all are by far my favorite fantasy content producers. Damn. Thank you. I appreciate that. There's a lot of people out there making great content. So that's very kind. He says, blessings to you and Badaki on the upcoming birth of your child. Well, this makes it sound like we had the baby together. I just want to clarify. We did not. Okay. That was him and his wife. I can't take credit for that. Very exciting times ahead. And yes, indeed. But yeah, okay. That's great. I love the context there. A lot of information. A lot of kind words. And a very exciting, I guess, breakdown. The team name was Windows Shopping. So right now you are ranked 4th out of 10 teams. They've given you 78 out of 100. And it looks like you do have one of those teams that's just dominating every single other team in the league. Yeah, team 1 is stacked. Yeah, they're doing dirty deeds on the rest of this league. Okay, so going to be SuperFlex and tight end premium in 2025. Is that correct? Going to be SuperFlex and tight end premium starting in 2024. Okay, so starting this year. Okay, starting this year. It says start 9 here, but you said start 11 plus defense, which means start 10 positional players. Correct me if I'm wrong. But let's have a look at the squad. Okay, so at quarterback, we've got Matt Stafford, Sam Howell, Mac Jones, Mason Rudolph, Jarrett Stidham, Joe Flacco. Okay, so like we like Stafford, but the future is obviously shaky. You've got a lot of names here who are like there are certain scenarios that could pan out where they become starters, but certainly no long-term starter that we feel good about. Really at all. Matthew is a great win-now quarterback to have on the squad, but I think we could all agree we don't feel good about building around him long-term. At the running back spot, we've got Gibbs, Mitchell, Gibson. That's a good group there with Gibbs being your anchor. I think we all want Keaton to be something, but it's not very common that an undrafted free agent tears an ACL, comes back. Is super relevant. Gibson's a great keep right now with him being in free agency. At wide receiver, we've got Puka Nacua, and then just really, some names that we like, but certainly not anyone that you feel like is an established dog. We've got Laporta, which is great as it heads into being a tight end premium format. So really, this team has 3 pillars: Laporta, Nacua, and Gibbs. And those are 3 great pillars to build around, including our draft capital, which we've got the 102, 103, 105, and 107. And I don't know, personally, I'd be curious to hear what the chat says, but I don't feel any need to move that 107. I know you talked about that a little bit earlier. Looking to potentially move on from the 107 if I can secure a future first and change. But you got to think about it from this perspective. Like, That 107 this year, in your league, it's a tight end premium, so that's probably Rome Odunze. Things could get funky. It could be one of those quarterbacks, a Mayer or a Daniels, you know? So I don't feel a huge need to move the 107, personally. And Ben's here with me. He says, quarterback room is so filled because the team I was facing off against in the punishment matchup had injuries at both quarterbacks. Most of those guys are droppable. Yeah, I hear you. And you might have to with these draft picks that you've got. You might have to make some drop decisions, but we can drop Heineke. We can drop little Jordan Humphreys. And can we drop Zach Evans? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, okay, so what did we say we were doing with these picks? Let me go back in and remember here. Where did you say that again? 102. Caleb's going for first. Okay, so the current plan is to draft Marvin, Neighbors, and then Daniels at the 105. Right, okay, so your current plan... Getting out the whiteboard. Here's our current plan. From what you've told me. Okay, so current plans. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're trying. So you mentioned you want to go Marvin. You wanted to go Malik Neighbors here. You wanted to go May or Daniels here. And then you thought about trade away. That's the current plan. Let's see how that would fit your team. Like I mentioned, okay, that's the current plan. My path, I guess we can call this. I think I would be going Rome Odunze here, considering how weak your wide receiver room is right now. I know some of the spreadsheet people don't like Odunze. Y'all know on this channel, we're not strictly spreadsheet people. We try and combine the analytics, but we don't even look at the analytics until we've done our film evaluation. Ideally, the film lines up with the analytics. But Odunze, man, there is not a weakness in his game. I don't care about the analytics of Odunze's game. I don't care. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. We try our best to combine both. And look, I'm not sitting here saying there's a wrong way to do it, by the way. I don't think anyone has a perfect way to do it. Even GMs, right? But look, I think Odunze is a certified stud. I think in most classes, he's probably a top 4 to 5 pick anyway. You're just getting him at a discount in this class because of how deep the class is. So I would go Odunze at the 107. That gives us 3 wide receivers. Now we have Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and we added... See, here's the issue, though, Ben. My issue is I don't think your quarterback room is deep enough to not go 2 quarterbacks. I just don't think you're deep enough to do that. How could we play this, though? No, see. Yeah, I just don't think you're deep enough, man. I don't think you're deep enough. I think, in my personal opinion, I think this has to be Mayer Daniels here. And then at the 105, if Neighbors falls to you, hear where I'm coming from here, right? This is how I would do it personally. I don't think your team is deep enough to not try and get 2 quarterbacks in this draft. Worst case scenario, you, which isn't a bad thing, but worst case scenario, you do end up with all those wide receivers, and then you've only got Daniels / May and Stafford. It's not awful. It's not awful, but there is a scenario where Stafford retires next year or the year after, or, you know, we know that it's coming to a close at some point. And I know you got those 25 first. You've got 2 of them. However, yeah, man, I think our goal from these 4 picks should be quarterback, wide receiver. Because right now your current goal is to get, well, right now your current plan is to get 2 wide receivers and a trade out. So, league's going to be SuperFlex this year, and I don't know how familiar you are been with SuperFlex formats. I don't know. I have no idea if you were playing in a bunch of leagues and this is just one of them that's one quarterback, or if this is your main league and you haven't played SuperFlex before, or whatever. I don't know how much content you watch, etc. But I can speak as someone who's been playing in SuperFlex leagues for a long time, specifically this year. Having a third quarterback that you can rely on was almost more valuable than filling your entire starting lineup with players you love. Like, it just was. I believe there were 8 quarterbacks who started the 2023 season as their team starter and finished it as their team starter with injuries, poor performance, etc. So with that being said, I just feel like having 3 quarterbacks that you feel really good about, or at least that you like. I want 2 that I love and at least 3 that I like and I'm okay with. I think is very important going into a SuperFlex league. And you're not even transitioning to SuperFlex in 2025. You're doing it now, like right now. So this would be my goal. So then all of a sudden, if this works out, you've got May and Daniels, and then Stafford's your quarterback 3 that you're just relying on and hoping he gets to play, 2 to 3 more years. Then you've also done a good job adding to your wide receiver room with Marvin, Rome Odunze, Puka Nacua. That's a good 3. And then we're probably competing this year, but next year we're going to, contribute to that running back room as well. Now at the 207, the great thing about this class, honestly, with the 207 and the 304, is that's a great spot to improve at wide receiver or running back this year. Let me pull up our, I don't even know how updated this is, but let me pull up my SuperFlex rankings right now. So again, this is in our rookie report. Anyone who's a Mother Flocker member will be able to access this. But if we've got picks 207, 304, this is a 10-man. Okay, so a 10-man. Okay, simple math, Zach. That would be pick 18? 17, 18? 17 or 18, right? So really we're looking at, for me right now, Tez Walker is going to move down. And these running backs could move up, but that is right around the running back range of a Benson, a Brooks, a Keon. Put Adonai there, put Xavier Worthy there, Jalen McMillan, a Leggett, a Polk, a Bucky Irving, a Marshawn Lloyd, Corum Allen. That's right around that range, which is perfect for your team. Because if you're able to turn that 207, let's say Bucky goes to the Vikings in the 4th, right? Perfect. Let's grab him at the 207. Let's say Leggett goes in the 3rd round to the Bengals and they move on from T. Higgins. Great. Let's see if he's available at 304. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals, right? Ideally, you turn those 2 picks into a running back and a wide receiver. That's the best available player with those 2 picks. So now your roster all of a sudden has 3 quarterbacks that you like, 2 that you love in Daniels and May. Your running backs, you've got Gibbs and Bucky, or Gibbs and Braylon, or Gibbs and Corum, or Gibbs and Lloyd, Gibbs and Benson, Gibbs and Brooks, right? You've got 2 guys that you like, 1 that you love. And then at wide receiver, we've got Puka, we've got Adunze, we've got Marvin. At the 304, we've added a Burton, a McMillan, a Leggett. And then we don't really need to address the tight end position anyway because we've got Sam Laporta. You've all of a sudden already built out a roster that you can potentially compete with this year if those rookies perform the way we want them to. But you also have these 25 first-round picks where next year you can look at running back. And look, if the class is strong in other areas, well, we can use those picks to upgrade at running back anyway through the trade market. So that's the kind of direction I'm going through. Ben says Roman's a dog. We'll be happy to have him. Would need a blow me away offer to move away from the 107, which makes sense. Yes, I love me McMillan. I've been talking about him in most of our ranking videos. But yeah, I agree with Joey there. JJ McCarthy could be a get at the 107 if he goes to the Falcons or in the top 15 to one of those teams. So yeah, I think that's the game plan here. I think that's the game plan. Now, when we talk about players to trade away, like, with respect, outside of the top names, no one's really trading for any of these names anyway. All the quarterbacks I'm highlighting, no one's really trading for these guys. All the running backs I'm highlighting, no one's really trading for them. And maybe people are trading for Gibson, but it's on the low because he's a free agent, so you want to keep him anyway. No one's really trading for any of these wide receivers right now. Could probably extend the list all the way up here. Now, I like Wilson. I want to hold him. I like Mims. I want to hold him. It's worth holding Mingo at this point, even though I don't think he's going to be anything. Elijah Moore, probably never going to be anything. So there's no real obvious sell high here either. So yeah, I think really our move is operating through the draft. I don't really want to get rid of Puka or Laporta or Gibbs, and those would be the names you would trade if you're going to trade any of them. So really, I think our pathway right now is, okay, let's hold tight until the NFL draft. Now look, if someone blows me away with an offer, we can consider it. But at this moment, we don't need to really do anything. We don't really need to make any certain moves. We just need to let the draft come to us, really. But of course, I'll throw it out there. Like it's probably obvious, but if you can get a second-round pick for any of these names in a 10-man, you probably take that. I love Michael Wilson. Y'all know that. It breaks my heart to say this, but if I get like the 205 for him, it's a no-brainer in this class, especially in a 10-man format. I'd also say the same for any of these quarterbacks. If you get a second-round pick for them, no-brainer. You probably know that. But Ben, I want to leave you an opportunity to ask me any questions. But this is what we talked about earlier. This was a plan that we talked about. This is what I would ideally do. Again, at the 103, instead of going Malik, we go a quarterback and then hope that the 104 goes wide receiver so we can add to that quarterback room. If they don't, you get Neighbors anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're getting your choice of quarterback at the 103. And then if they take Neighbors anyway, then you get the other quarterback. If they don't, you did your best to build around your quarterbacks and now Neighbors fell to you. So it kind of works out that way. Ben says, what would the package for the 107 need to look like to move away from? Let's have a look. I'll show you where my rankings currently, where I would rank the 107 in a SuperFlex league. Let's have a look at this together. I'll tell you the range of players. So right now, the 107... we're looking at like the Nico Collins of the world, the Etiennes, the Olaves. Remember, guys, the 106 and the 107 are quite fluid, so I could even start from the 106 ranges. Your DJ Moores, your Tyreeks, your JTs, your Etiennes, your Olaves, your Collins. I'm higher on Rice than most people. I understand that. Your Ayuks, your Achans, if you're looking for a running back, your Goffs, your Fields, your Waddles, your Pittmans. Of course, my rankings aren't tight and premium. Obviously, Laporta would be up there. But if you're moving on from the 107, I'll just identify a couple names that I think are undervalued. And Rashee Rice and DJ Moore are the top two names that instantly come to mind for me. We're in a 10-man, SuperFlex. What was it? Was it start? He said start 11 in the context, but no defense, so start 10, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's probably like a 3-flex league. Let's just say it's a 3-flex league for the sake of this. But if we want to move on from the 107, let's get Rice. And what is that extra? What could that extra be for you? Let's talk about some names. Obviously, if you can get Rice in the future first, you pull the trigger. You don't think about it, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer. You get that deal done. But every league's a little bit different. Can we get Rice and... I'll start throwing out some names that would intrigue me to get the deal done. A Rice and a James Cook. A Rice and a Saquon Barkley. A Rachaad White. Isaiah Pacheco. I would extend that list to a Rice and a Javonte. A Rice and a Monty. A Rice and a Spears. I think you get more than just Rice and Spears. It depends. Like, some people are really high on Spears, so that's a tough call. Like, those are the conversations you're starting to have. Now, if you guys have been on the channel for a while, you know I love me some DJ Moore. I think the return for DJ Moore will be less than Rice, but I guess it depends on how your league views those two players. Put all those same names that I just mentioned. Those are the kind of deals I think you're looking for. A wide receiver that we love, at least I love. You can decide if you love the player as well. And then plus X player. And right, guys, like, every league is going to be so different. I mean, if you go and look at this video, this buy low video, I talk about DJ Moore in that video. The amount of people that told me I'm absolutely crazy in the comment section is quite high. So in a lot of leagues, people are undervaluing DJ Moore. We're talking about certain people ranking him like wide receiver 15 to 20 in some leagues, right? Rashee Rice, same thing. But of course, there are some leagues where people lean more towards my opinions and my outlook on those players where those kind of deals are not able to be done. But those are the two names that instantly come to mind for me when I would look at exploring trading the 107. Let's add Drake London in there. Right? Let's add Drake London. Let's add Nico Collins with those names that we talked about. I think Olave's, the hype is too high for him to try, but those are the kind of deals I'd be looking to pursue. And look, not every deal is doable. In fact, 9 out of 10 deals, 9 out of 10 offers that you send won't be accepted. And the ones that are, there's multiple counters, but these are just starting points for Ben here. So let me know if you have any other questions there, Ben. Ben says, also, should I be looking at putting together something to grab the 104? Would 107 plus what in return? So you're saying grabbing the 104 and using the 107 to get there? See, that's the issue. If you're trying to trade up, none of these names make sense to move, and those are the names people want. So you're not going to, you're not going to do like Gibbs on the 107 or Puka or Laporta on the 107. Those guys are way more valuable than that offer. The issue is no one's going to move up for Keaton Mitchell in the 107 or back, right? No one's going to move back for Wilson and the 107. Of course, you try it. Have a go. Would someone do Sam Howell in the 107? Probably not. But yeah, the picks is what you could do. Could you do like the 107 and the 207? Could you do the 107 and the 304 and 403? Could you do the 107 and you have someone else's second next year? Could you do the 107 and someone else's second? Those are the kind of deals you're starting off with. Now, again, I don't think those are necessarily your finishing points. If they are, great. You just got a great deal done. But those are the kind of deals that you start off with. What is the wide receiver? These wide receivers no one talks about. What's the wide receiver that guy actually likes? Does he actually like Marvin Mims? Do you have to add Marvin Mims and the 304 and the 403 and the 107 to get it done? Fine, do it. Do you have to add Marvin Mims and the 207 and the 107 to do it? That's fine. It's worth it to kind of control your future. And then all of a sudden, you're not talking about the 104 anymore. Now we're talking about the 10. Sorry, now we're talking about the 104 instead of the 107. Right? So instead, it looks like this: Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and then we know exactly what we do here, which would be Jaden Daniels and Drake May. Right? So what is it worth you? What is it worth to you to control your future? That's what you're looking at there. So hopefully that is helpful. But yeah, it's always fun looking at teams that have a lot of future draft capital, because we can all agree that this class looks like an absolute killer. And that's fun to think about. But yeah, Ben, let me know if you have any more questions there. Do I do another team? I think I might have one more in me. We've already been live for 116 minutes. That's about 2 hours. Ben says, no, that's it. Thank you so much. Of course, of course, of course. And as always, feel free to use the fantasy hotline if you like. Okay, do I want to do another team? Let me clarify that. Do I feel like I can do another team given the rest of my day? Who have we got here waiting? Chef is waiting. Aaron's waiting. Joey. Let's do one more. We'll do one more today. We'll do one more. That will be 5 teams. Normally I do 2 teams in one stream. We'll do Chef Cookie here. We'll do Chef's. He's in the chat. We'll be able to talk to him. Let's do one more. Give me a second though. I'm solo dolo. I gotta drain the dragon. Give me a sec. All right, we're back. Style says, I got one more in me, Vince Carter. I washed my hands. Yeah, they smell nice. I don't know about y'all, but
I think I'm just like a particular person. I don't actually really feel clean unless I wash my hands. Like, even simple things like after I eat food, I feel like I have to wash my hands, or like that food is like you can smell it on your finger. I'm probably too particular. But in case anyone was wondering, we washed the hands. We did. Like goal update. We are currently 7 likes away from 50. 50 likes was our goal. So if you have yet to hit that like button, be a friend and do so if you don't mind. Now, anyone out there who's watching the video, I will let you in on how to get this team review for yourself. Before we go on to the last team for today, very simple. If you want your team reviewed by yours truly, all you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member on the Flock Fantasy website using our code LAND. Those are 2 very important parts. You have to be a Mother Flocker member. You have to use the code LAND. I saw someone earlier ask, okay, what if I'm a Flocker member and not a Mother Flocker member? You got to be a Mother Flocker member, and you have to be using the code LAND. I believe you should be able to upgrade to the Mother Flocker tier if you're already a Flocker with the code LAND. DM me if you have questions about that. But once you become a member with the promo code LAND, all you need to do is connect your Discord in the account section. Words. Speak words clearly, Zach. English isn't hard. Connect your Discord in the account section. Once you do that, you will unlock all of our premium Discord channels under the Fantasyland tab. One of those being the roster submissions tab. Now, keep in mind, if you sign up and you do choose to get the 7-day free trial, you got to wait for that free trial to end to get your team reviewed. Otherwise, there is an instant access button when you sign up where you can skip that free trial and automatically be eligible for a team review when we pick them up next week or early next week. I've been going live 3 times a week, by the way. So don't worry if you're signing up and you're like, damn, wait, so I got to wait a whole another week? No, we've been going live 3 times a week doing these, which is awesome. That just means you guys are supporting us and you guys are seeing value in these team reviews. I mean, that makes me very happy. And hopefully you guys are seeing the value in return. But let's get to the chef. Yes, chef. Cook it up, chef. Adam is in the chat. So, Chef Cookie. How are y'all doing this, by the way, with your Discords? Mine looks so boring. Oh, we got a fellow Chiefs Kingdom member. How are you guys doing this stuff? I want to customize it like that. You have to buy a subscription or something. Look at how boring mine is. Where's mine? Hey, I'm Zach. That's me. I don't know how you guys do that, but it is pretty cool. But okay, let's have a look at the team. 12-team PPR, SuperFlex, Start 9, non-Titan Premium. Sleeper League ID, we've got that. Team name is the Howitzers. Adam says, I commission Madden League, so I do it up nice. I can DM you about it. I mean, if it's free, I'm down to like play around with it. But if it's like you got to pay Discord for something, it's like, my account looks fine. But let's have a look at the context here. He says, my highest stakes Dynasty League. Absolutely bombed the startup. Obviously. That's okay. Excuse me. He says, got trade happy and ended up losing myself value and made some bad picks. Got last and have all my own picks, including the 101. Only trade I've made all year is Zeke for a 4th right before the playoffs because everyone in the league seems to be very stubborn on prices. Feels like I can't get a deal done unless I'm losing in value, or maybe I'm just not sending the right deals. Let me just start with that before I even read on the rest. Everyone in the league seems to be very stubborn on prices. Feels like I can't get a deal done unless I'm losing in value, or maybe I'm just not sending the right deals. you're not alone, man. Trading has been, I think, more difficult recently than ever. And I'll be honest, like there are some leagues where I just feel like there are certain trade partners that I've done deals with in the past. And at the end of the day, both, you know, they say this for an NBA trade. They say this for an NFL trade. At the end of the day, both owners should be a little happy and a little unhappy. I know that sounds like contradictory, but both owners should be like a little happy, like, oh, I love this part of the deal, and a little unhappy, like, damn, I lost that pick or that player, you know? You just got to find the right people to make deals with. Unfortunately, some people are just unreasonable. And sometimes we can be unreasonable too. So sometimes we have to adjust. So you're not alone in that. He says, I did turn Hal for a 2 and 3 when he was doing well, so that doesn't look great right now. You turned it down. Okay. Yeah, look, that's a hard one because at that time, mid-season, Hal looked like he was the starter for that team. He says, would like some direction on where to go with 1-1 between Marv and Caleb, given my below-average quarterbacks, but I also don't have a wide receiver 1, and both my quarterbacks are at least startable. Also need some help on players to be looking to trade to help this rebuild in a stubborn trading league. Maybe some guys you'd be okay trading away at a slight value loss given my situation. Maybe trading down since I don't need much help overall. Maybe with the 104 since he has no quarterback. Obviously, running back is the biggest need. And of course, this running back class is brutal. So not sure when I should plan my competing window to try to be and how to get there. Any help and advice is appreciated. Thanks and appreciate you guys. Let's get this thing out of the gutter. Also, if possible, please let me know when you think you'll be reviewing it live while we're here now. He says, and by the way, rookie draft is accidentally on Snake, and in the screenshot I have the 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-6. Traded my 4th in the startup to trade up for Malik Willis. Damn, that's tough. So to clarify, you're not actually doing a Snake draft, right? You just, it's accidentally in the settings like that right now. It will be linear, correct? But the team name is the Howitzers. So let's have a look at the Howitzers. And unfortunately, we got a project ahead of us. Currently 64 out of 100 according to Keep Trade Cut. And this might be a top-heavy league because we got 2 teams in the upper 90s. But let's have a look at it because all hope is not lost. We can rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Not the Phoenix Suns. Adam says, for example, before the Hal fall off, I sent Hal Amari in my 3rd. Looked to be a 301, 302 at that point for his 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Yeah. I mean, honestly, even when Hal was playing well, though, that might have been a little bit too ambitious. But I'll be honest, like, I have some Hal in some leagues, and I didn't sell at the right time either. So don't feel bad. It's difficult to predict those things. And at the time, most of us wanted a 1st. We wouldn't have settled for a 2nd. So I hear where you're coming from. But keeping in mind that this is a SuperFlex Start 9 non-tight end premium. SuperFlex Start 9. We've got 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes. Okay. So, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. That's not bad. That is not bad. Okay. I am still very much in on Trevor Lawrence. I know not everyone else is, but I am in on him. I'm not giving up on him. No way. And as far as Deshaun Watson goes, I don't know if you were with us earlier, but we talked about him. Now, has his performances been all that impressive? No, not really at all. However, he is locked into a contract that literally you cannot get out of. There's no scenario where you get out of Deshaun Watson's contract. He's the only quarterback in NFL history to have that guaranteed money. So the good news is you have 2 starters. At the running back spot, there's really nothing if we're honest. I've really soured on Zach Charbonnet, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm giving up too early, but Charbonnet is not going to ever become the RB1 when Ken Walker is healthy. It's just never going to happen. They are handcuffing each other. They are capping each other. Charbonnet is going to get more involved, but never to the point where you feel like he's reliable. So let's be honest. No one who has Zach Charbonnet feels great about it right now. At the wide receiver spot, we have JSN, Cooper, Ridley, Marquise Brown, Dotson, Wicks. I mean, really across the board. I'll say outside of 2 names, all these wide receivers underperformed and disappointed last year. JSN, Ridley, to an extent. Brown, Dotson, Cooper, and Wicks either performed well or overperformed expectations. But that doesn't mean that these players are bad. It just means that we need change to happen for their outlook to look a little bit better. But the good news, Dotson's about to get a new quarterback, a new OC, whole new coaching staff. Hollywood Brown's a free agent. He'll be a highly sought after free agent. Jackson Smith and Jigba, new coaching staff there. Did you guys see the interview with JSN where these guys who make Bears content, it was at Radio Row. I don't really know them. I don't follow the Bears, but they make Bears content. They have a huge following. And they asked him about Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator. His response was hilarious. I would love to know what he really thought. I would love to know what him and Olave talked about after that interview. They basically asked him, so, tell us why Bears fans should be excited about Shane Waldron. Why should we all be excited? Your offensive coordinator last year. And JSN was like, is this live? Or it's like, he's like a great person. He's such a great person. He's got great qualities. He wants to score. You could just tell he was trying to be so nice, but in reality, he was like, I feel like in his mind, he was like, he misused our offense heavily. He has no idea what he's doing. That's not exciting when you think about Caleb Williams being in that offense. But anyway, at that tight end spot, we're not in a tough position. It's a non-tight end premium anyway. But Dallas Goedert certainly doesn't feel like a world beater right now, does he? In our picks, we have the 101, the 201, the 301, and the 406. We have all of our picks next year, which is great. But we don't really have any future draft capital to play around with. And I think this team that's underperformed, that's why you're probably ranked so low, is because while you have your draft capital, you don't have a vast, amount of future capital. But yeah, I absolutely 100,000% believe that this is a team that you could trade down from the 101. Adam says, my number 2 bonehead move in this league is dropping Trey McBride earlier. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, that's tough. That was my biggest buy low at the tight end spot last year. In case anyone cares, that's Michael Mayer for me this offseason. It's okay. We can't go back and redo that. But I believe heavily that this team is a trade back candidate. I would love to trade back anywhere in the top 5 and get future capital. If that's the 103, the 102, the 104, the 105, if that means I get a future first, fantastic. If that means I get a running back I can build around or a wide receiver I love and that pick, fantastic. Because this is a team where I honestly don't really care exactly what you do in those first 5 picks. And that's not to say I don't have my preferences. Obviously, we'd love to have Caleb. We'd love to have Marvin. But if you're telling me you trade back to the 104 and you get Drake May for this team, great. You could use a Drake May. If it's Malik Neighbors at the 105, fantastic. You could use a Malik Neighbors on this team. So I think my number 1 goal with this squad in particular, again, because we have no future draft capital to kind of improve this squad. Well, sorry, we have no additional future draft capital outside of our own. So that would be my goal, is trading back from the 101. So why don't we have a look at the teams that are in the top 5? The 104. You talked about this guy being very quarterback needy. This team absolutely needs Caleb Williams. And in fact, this is your ideal trade partner. Do you want to know why? Because even if this team adds Caleb Williams, they're probably going to be dog shit. Now, there's a scenario where Kyle Pitts turns it around and those running backs, you know, go crazy. But there's also, we can see a scenario where Russell Wilson isn't a starter, where I love Javonte, but, you know, what if he underperforms? And Kyle Pitts is still the same player. You can easily see a scenario where that 25 first is worth a lot. So can you get the 104 and his future first? Call it a day. Pack it in and take your W and take whoever falls at the 104. That's a perfect team to trade back with. Let's see who else has these picks in the top 5. Team 103. Honestly, doesn't really feel like they need to make a move up. But you know what? Maybe they would be really enticed by it because they don't have a super... They have Waddle, but this team probably is drooling over the thought of Marvin Harrison Jr. So, can I get your 103 and your future first? Can I get your 103? Man, Jacobs and Monty, I don't really want to add them to this team. Those don't really feel like smart moves with your team. And I doubt he'd give you the 103 and Waddle. But if he did that, you take it and you run. Probably not going to happen, though. Who's got the 105? Okay, Team 4 has a 105. Oh, Zay Flowers would have been perfect. Like Zay Flowers and the 105 and maybe even like another piece here for the 101. But now Zay Flowers, I'm not panic selling him if I have him, but I would be cautious of buying him because I know that the Ravens don't play games with DV situations. Even if there's not legal action, sometimes they will take action themselves. So there's risk. And he's not giving you Gibbs. Of course, if he gives you Gibbs in the 105 for the 101, I mean, you are doing victory laps. But even if he gives you like Purdy in the 105 for the 101, you do that in a heartbeat. Does he do it? Probably not. The team with the 102. You know, you could... Oh, wow. The team with the 102 desperately needs wide receiver and quarterback. So they're probably not a good trade candidate because they don't care who falls to them at the 102. Adam says, as you figured out earlier, I'm a Chiefs fan. So in this scenario where I'd be able to work on Pacheco with the 104. Look, maybe, but as much as I like Pacheco, I just don't feel like... I just don't feel like with your team, Pacheco and the 105 or the 104 is really making that big of a difference with your team. Like, you want to hit on a lottery. That's why I'm wanting to get a future first instead of like a running back like Pacheco. No disrespect to Pacheco. I know he had an incredible year, but I still don't feel like he's someone I feel like incredible about building around long term. Or someone that I feel like is going to, like, think about the year he just had. It's still difficult to get a first-round pick for him in return. So that 2025 first is not going to decrease in value. A running back can easily. All it takes for any of these running backs to tear an ACL, Liz Frank injury, right? Torn hammy, and their value instantly disappears. That 2025 first round pick does not lose value. It only gains value as we get closer to the 2025 NFL draft. So that's why I would not personally with your team be looking at a deal like that. If you're going to get a player, I want it to be a wide receiver or quarterback in that trade back. But it doesn't mean you have to follow my opinion. But do you hear where I'm coming from there? That's where I'm coming from. But let's play out the scenario. Should we go to the whiteboard? Should we do it? Scenario 1, which we just talked about, and that is That is trade back from the 101. And we talked about packages. You know, you can come back on this stream, refer to packages for, I think we talked about the 104. We talked about the 105. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the 103 was an ideal candidate. Who had the 103? Yeah, we talked about the 103 as well. Remember that Waddle deal? Again, unlikely. And by the way, I don't care how far back you go. I don't care if you go to the 105. Whatever brings you the maximum value in return, if that's the 105 package, take the 105. I don't care who falls to you. You need everything. If May or Daniels falls to you, great. If it's Malik Neighbors, completely fine. You need any one of those positions. So that's ideal. Scenario 2. In this scenario, we keep the 101. And in that scenario, I'm probably going Caleb Williams. Okay? And it's not because Marvin isn't worthy of it. It's just because, you know, think about it. Justin Jefferson, like, here where I'm coming from here, guys, right? Think about it from this perspective. This team that needs everything. I'm not saying Watson won't be a good starter, but just think about it from this perspective, right? Justin Jefferson in his first 3 years had a start that we have never seen in NFL history. We have never seen that ever. Where is he going in startup drafts? Still at the end of the first round. After his second year, where was he going? At the end of the first round. 107 to 110. CJ Stroud has a good rookie season. Was it the best rookie season ever by a quarterback? Probably, maybe. But guess where he's going now? He's like a consensus top 3 pick in SuperFlex startup drafts. And what's funny about that, and this is not for me to like shit on CJ Stroud. I love CJ Stroud. Do not hear what I'm not saying. But what's funny about that is, what did he average on a per game basis? 18.7 points per game, which was quarterback 7. So, do you hear where I'm coming from here? If Caleb Williams and Marvin reach their potential, who's going to be more valuable in a startup, aka who's going to be the most valuable player? It's probably Caleb. That is the nature of a SuperFlex league. That is the nature of a SuperFlex 12-man league. So, that's why I have rested my case. Again, you got a guy like Justin Jefferson, who has never, ever, ever, we've never seen a start to that in NFL history. Where is he valued? Late first round in the startup. CJ Stroud has a good rookie season. We don't need to see his sophomore season. People are already putting him as a top 3 asset. We're seeing startups where he's going as the 101, as the 102, before Allen, before Mahomes. So you hear where I'm coming from? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So those are your 2 scenarios. Look, it's a little bit limited because, let's be honest, again, we talk about guys that you could trade high. Who do you trade high on this team? Tell me, chat. Is there a single trade high player here? I don't think so. I don't think so. Trevor Lawrence is a buy low. Same with Watson. Jason's underperformed his rookie season. All these players underperformed. Same with Goddard. So, oh, you don't remember the Waddle deal? I'm pretty sure what we said was the 103 and Waddle. I don't think it happens though. That's why we said the 103 was the most unrealistic deal. The 103 and Waddle for the 101. And you probably have to give him something back. Keaton Mitchell. Or throw in Wicks, Dontavion Wicks or something, you know? But again, that's the most unlikely deal, I would say, out of those names. Yeah, exactly, WG. Yeah. Stroud was a consensus 105 last year, right? Adam says Amari might be the highest value he will be for the rest of his career after the end of this season. Yeah, I would not be opposed to selling Amari Cooper, but right now isn't the time, because you got to think about how Dynasty players think. Right now, it's all about the NFL draft. It's all about how young and how good can my team be. People don't really care. It sounds crazy, but people care less about how many fantasy points they'll put up. They care more about how young their team is at this point of the season. Now, when you get into week 3 and week 4 and week 5, the guys who are putting up fantasy points, like Amari Cooper is inevitably going to do, that's when those guys' value actually starts to be seen. So you could trade him in season for sure. Same with Calvin, if you don't want to build around him, for sure. But that is the route that you take. Great news for you at the 201 is you're in a great spot to take whoever is there. 12 team, we talked about this earlier. For me, that would be, these quarterbacks, these rankings will change depending on where they go in the NFL draft. But is JJ falling, even though it's a first round pick, no one in your league likes him, take him. Same with Bo, same with Penix. Now, if Bo and Penix go in the second round, I'll have to move them down, right? But that could be a Lad McConkey. That could be, I know I'm higher on Jalen McMillan than other people, but that could be him, a Worthy, a Mitchell, a Benson, a Brooks, a Coleman. So you're in a great spot with that 201, because the 201 is as valuable as the 110 last year's draft. And same with the 301. What running back is that fell? Same with the 406. So yeah, Kennedy Brooks, please fall. Wait, wasn't Kennedy Brooks already? Am I thinking of a different Kennedy Brooks? Wasn't he the kid out of Oklahoma? Or am I thinking of someone else? Yeah, wait, there's got to be a different Kennedy Brooks then. Wait, is that? That's not the Kennedy Brooks. Wait, yeah, that's the Kennedy Brooks thing. Anyway. Is this who you're talking about? Yeah, he's a free agent right now, isn't he? Has he actually? I don't think he's. No, he hasn't had a stat yet. He hasn't played a snap. Do you mean Jonathan Brooks? Do you mean Jonathan Brooks? Because I was like, wait, is there someone that I don't know about? I'd like to know about that player. Anyway. So I think that's the direction you're going. These are your two scenarios here. I'll be honest, my ideal scenario is scenario 1, where you trade back and you get future capital. And by the way, if you trade back from the 101 to the 105, and someone's like, I don't want to give you 25 first, but I'll give you a 26 first and 2 seconds in 25, or I'll give you 2 26 first, right? Like, that is completely fine as well. In fact, in a way, that might be ideal, because you have got to get a lot of draft capital on this team to really compete with the guys at the top at some point. So, or at least to have leverage to make moves. Yes. That's Jonathan Brooks. Yes. But anyway, Adam, let me know if you have any questions. Look, we have to be honest. The team's not in a great place right now. But certain players could turn it around. Jason could turn on. We know he's talented. Marquise could sign with, the Chiefs or something and be exciting. Get hype. You could sell him or keep him. Dotson could turn things around with a new OC, new quarterback. Both of these quarterbacks could turn things around. So it looks a little bleak right now, but that's why we want to get draft capital and keep building this team. And I think just constantly pivoting as we go. So yeah, Adam, let me know if you have any other questions. I want to make sure that you get all the time you need to make sure you feel confident. And by the way, guys, little update. As I wait for Adam to let me know what questions he has. Y'all see that? Okay. 2 subscribers away from 11,000. That will put us at our 20% way to 15K from 10K. So if anyone out there is watching, you haven't subscribed yet, do us a favor. Hit that sub button. Help us get to that 11K mark. In fact, I just refreshed. Okay, let's go. Let's go, baby. 11,000 subscribers. That's honestly kind of mind-boggling. I still remember when, because we have 11,000 here. We've got just under 14,000 on our redraft channel. And I remember an entire year of posting videos. And guys, like we wouldn't even get like 20 views. I'm telling y'all, there would be an entire year we post a video, we wouldn't get 20 views. I mean, the second year, if we got 100 views in that second, we were like, hell yeah, let's freaking go. So I mean, we are very grateful. Thank you, Lucas. I appreciate you. WG, it got difficult because we were doing rookie drafts, and then like it kept during those rookie drafts when they get at a hype, especially in like April, it'll be like hit the gap, and it'll just keep going over and over and over as people subscribe. Adam has a question. At what point do I start to care about roster construction / points from lineup instead of value chasing, like the Caleb versus Marv thing? Yeah, I think you're nowhere near that point right now. I think if we're 100% honest with ourselves, if we look at this team, the point where you start to care about that is when you think you're actually starting to compete, right? And let's look at who we're competing against. The guy who has Stroud, Prescott, Carr, Brees, CD, Amon-Ra, London, Smith, Addison. The guy who has Hurts, Murray, Goff, Kyron, Tajay, Kindre, Alvin Kamara, Zamir White, Olave, Collins, DJ Moore, Metcalf, Reed, Godwin, McBride, Mahomes, JT, Achan. That team's not as stacked. But once you're, this team's great. Once you're looking at these teams, and again, I realize I'm not even showing you these teams. But once you start to look at these teams at the top and say to yourself, hey, you know what? I think I can actually compete with those guys. That's when that starts to matter. But until you're competing, it doesn't matter what your starting lineup looks like. And obviously, we don't want to be stuck competing or rebuilding forever. We want to win this thing at some point. But right now, it does not matter. Adam says, also, real quick, can you go over the Zay trade proposal again? I didn't get that one down. Well, see, the thing is, I said I don't like that deal because I don't know. I'm not saying Zay is not a buy, but I'm saying I just don't feel comfortable buying him right now. In teams where I have Zay Flowers, I'm certainly not selling him. I'm holding him, but I'm not actively going out and trading for Zay Flowers because of the domestic violence situation. There's just a lot of unknowns, and the Ravens have a vast history of an organization that even if things aren't officially charged, they will take action. So I hope and I believe his value won't be impacted, but I'm not actively trading for him. But when we talked about the 105, we talked about Brock Purdy being the piece. That was the piece we wanted. And we said, absolutely, if you can get Gibbs in the 105 and you can move back, you do it in a heartbeat. I just don't think that happens. So those are the two names you'd be willing to trade back for. So yeah. That's true, Adam. That's true. But once you get suspended, and if things like, let's say it's a 6-game suspension, I'm sure Zay will come back and be an absolute superstar. But if teams start to plan around different players, this is why Jameson Williams never got to see volume and why he never got to be a featured player, is because the team started to plan around him. Their offense was built around him without him. And when he was an addition, it's like, how do we fit him in? And I'm not claiming that anything bad is going to happen, but it's enough for me with your team to just play it a little more cautiously. right? If I was a team that's competing right now and I had like the 109 and I can go out and get Zay Flowers and I'm like, hell yeah, I can afford for Zay Flowers to bite the dust, right? That's a different scenario. It's just I don't feel like we're in that scenario right now where we can afford to have Zay Flowers be an important part of our trade back. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Adam. 100% agree. But please, let me know if you have any more questions. I'm not going to end the stream until you feel good. The fantasy hotline's available to you. But also, that is definitely the last team I'm going to review today. We've been live 2.5 hours now. So that's definitely going to be the last one for today. But just looking at the feedback from that video I released this morning, that was a really fun one to record. In case anyone wants to go watch that. These are 5 players that I just don't know why, but I don't feel like anyone's talking about them. And I think 90% of people, I feel like there's at least one name in there you haven't heard about yet, or at least haven't heard someone advocate for. But let me know if you have any last minute questions, or Adam. Adam says, thank you so much, my man. Appreciated it. To be honest, I've subbed as a mother flocker to a few different creators on the Flock network, and this code was special. This code special was easily the best. Oh, wow. Appreciate that, man. Big love. Yeah, we got a great crew over there. But that is it for today, guys. I do appreciate everyone hanging out. Again, I will just quickly say last little bit here. If you do want a Dynasty team review from yours truly, all you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member on the Flock Fantasy website. Have to use our code LAND. Have to be a Mother Flocker member. If those two things are true, go to your account setting account here in the top right. Link your Discord, and then you should get access to the roster submissions tab, just like Chef Cookie did here when we just reviewed his team. Of course, keep in mind, if you sign up, there's a 7-day free trial. You got to wait for that trial to end to get your team reviewed. And there is an option to skip the trial with instant access. But that's it for today, guys. Lucas, if you don't have Discord, yeah, there's not really another way. You got to be on Discord. You got to be on Discord. You have to be a LAN supporter and have to be a Mother Flocker member. But no pressure, of course. But that's it for today, guys. Appreciate you big time. I'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your week. All love.